Welcome, friends, to the Don't Stifle Me podcast. My name is Jacob Stiefel. Thank you for stopping by. Now, for you folks new around here, I am a singer-songwriter myself, in addition to podcast host. I've got music on iTunes and other online services. I also have merchandise and my own tour dates up at jacobstiefel.com. Speaking of tour dates, coming up this Saturday, June 17th, I will be in Macon, Georgia at the Hummingbird Stage and Tap Room. And then at the end of the month, I'm heading back out to Texas. For about 3 weeks, I'll be out there. So I can't wait to get out there and see all my friends and family in the great state of Texas. Speaking of Texas, today's guest is a badass, just total badass with Texas ties, and I'm going to let him tell you about it. So let's get to the episode.
Pick it up from piano.
The man, the myth, the legend, Waylon Payne joins me today in episode 15 here. Waylon stopped by the house a few weeks ago, and we had a great talk. He's a killer songwriter, singer, guitar player, just a solid, down-to-earth guy. He's been a part of some great movies and music. Admittedly, maybe made some bad decisions in life, but hey, which one of us hasn't, right? Well, we talk about a lot of that, and so here it is, my conversation with the great Waylon Payne. Where are you from? We'll just start at the beginning. Where are you from?
Where I'm from, I was born in Nashville, Tennessee, and I was raised in Texas from the time I was about 4 months old on.
Tell everybody who your parents are. Some people might not know.
Well, my
Waylon Payne.
father was Jody Payne, the lead guitarist for Willie Nelson and family for about 35 years, and my mother was bless you. My mother was the country soul singer Sammi Smith.
Yeah,
Yeah,
that's a hell of an upbringing.
sure is nice.
Yeah.
Yes, sir.
Where did you? Where is when you think of home, like growing up? Where would that?
You know,
what comes to mind?
it's just it's such a blend of all of it. I feel most at home in Texas.
Yeah.
And most at home is Austin, on Lake Travis, Town Lake. Fifth. Congress. It's
It's an
Austin
awesome
is just
place. Yeah.
Austin's just where I grew up mostly. As
Yeah.
an adult. There are a lot of other places that have been home, but I mean, I think that as far as the place that I choose to be from and
Yeah.
choose to call my home is Austin. Now, however, I was born here in Nashville,
Right.
and this is the first time I've been back here where it started to feel like, oh, well, this is, I mean, I do feel the roots.
Yeah. So did you? When you were growing up, did you spend a lot of time around? Because I know your dad was on the road.
I was raised with my mother's brother and his wife down in Vidor, Texas.
Okay.
My mother was right in the middle of a great big career.
Yeah.
At the time I was born, I mean, for a minute there, my mom was the hottest thing in the world, and Jody, my dad. I didn't meet him till I was about 16 years old.
Oh, wow.
When they divorced, it was kind of, I just didn't see him. I finally met him when I was about 16, and he's a cool guy. We started hanging out, and we started becoming...
So y'all got pretty close after that.
Oh, yeah. He was a great man. It was just a big set of circumstances, Some people don't want their kids running around with dopers and rock and rollers. And
Did you know he was your dad?
oh, yeah,
You
I
just
knew.
didn't-
Every time, that's how I kind of knew my parents growing up. When I would spend summers with my mother, and when she would come and get me, we would go off on the road till school started again. But
So your summers as a child were spent on the road touring
with my mom and Daddy. I would see every now and then on television, and that's how I kind of figured out what he looked like and all that kind of stuff. Because And we're talking 75, 76 years,
Yeah, that was
19,
when they were,
yeah.
I mean...
They were just now getting big, you know, and they were everywhere. So it was kind of cool. And, my mom as well. That's how I kind of kept in touch with her.
Yeah, you'll have to forgive me. Willie Nelson is like number one, top of the mountain. So so if I fanboy about the Willie thing a little bit,
ain't nothing to not fanboy about with Will.
Yeah.
Will's the greatest guy in the world. One of my best friends. I love him to death.
So when did you get to be pretty close with like Willie, like any of the other artists and people that were going on, like when you would go on the road, would you meet other artists and bands?
Well, I kind of grew up with people, I grew up around a lot of folks as a child. And
named after your godfather, right?
Yes, sir, Waylon Jennings. But during my high school years, I wasn't hanging. My mom had kind of sort of retired by that time.
Yeah.
My father, I didn't get to hang out with him very often. I was raised in a very strict Baptist home, and Willie Nelson, was the devil, except for the Troublemaker album, which was the gospel album.
Right.
That was okay to listen to because for a minute he was singing about Jesus and it wasn't a hippie. God dang. It's kind of crazy that we all survived this southern storm of madness that we all came from.
That it is. I love it when I was high school. I first started playing like acoustic gigs at the local bar or restaurant, and when the town finally went wet, I grew up in a dry town, but...
Boy, I know what that's like. Hang on a minute. Petey, what are you doing gouging around on the floor for?
Petey's.
Ladies and gentlemen, I got to introduce you to Petey because Petey's here. Petey, you want to talk? Come here. You want to sing a song? Can we introduce everybody to Petey?
Yeah, Petey.
Come here, buddy. Come here, buddy.
Waylon
Come and sing with
texted me this morning. How about that? Did y'all sit around and practice that?
That's good, Petey.
pretty
Yeah,
good.
he's a star.
Yeah.
I don't know if you've seen Miranda Lambert's new video, but Petey's famous.
Oh, is he in the video?
Yeah,
How about
he is.
that?
He's pretty famous, Petey. Yeah.
But yeah, I started playing acoustic shows, and I remember the preacher at the church I'd been going to, I ran into him in the grocery store parking lot or something. He was like, "Hey, what are you doing this Friday?" I said, "Well, I'm playing at JT's Fish House." And he said, "Be careful what kind of places you're hanging out in." Like in that preacherly way. And I just remember thinking, this is the same guy who asked me to play Merle Haggard songs. Like when we were sitting around.
Yep.
Like, what do you think Merle Haggard was doing? Where was he playing and hanging out?
It's a sword that cuts both ways.
Yeah, right. When did you start playing music? Was it just your whole life?
When I was in high school, I sang a lot of gospel music because it was the only place I could sing. It was the only outlet I was able to have was church, and so I sang for Jesus.
Yeah.
And then when I went away to college, I quickly got expelled. I went to a Baptist college, and there were certain things that were against the rules. Like you couldn't drink, you couldn't have sex, you couldn't have sex with guys, you couldn't be gay.
Yeah,
you couldn't do a lot of things. So, I was a young man, and I was.
You can't have an open mind about anything. Just go ahead and put that in the rule book.
Yeah. Well, these days, you know what? You could go back and you could sue for discrimination because I was expelled for being gay.
Right.
Because I was studying.
So is that what they said? Like that was the reason?
They called me into the dean's office, and it was at Oklahoma Baptist University in Shawnee, and it was. I don't know what they were basing it on. You know what I mean? Because it was but I'm sure I was pretty. Back then, I was a pretty gay little kid. We never know what we are, you know what I mean? Sometimes we're shown labels and things, and we think that's what we're supposed to be. And, when you figure out what your skin is, and you know what I mean?
When did you figure that out?
I always kind of knew it, I think you always know what's going on. These days, it's a big running joke, because I had a really bad go around with a crystal meth addiction, and I had a really bad go around in a relationship, which I thought that was what I needed, and it ended up, almost ruining my life. So for the last 12 years, I've really not put any stock into dating. I don't do it, and it seems to be okay. I'm kind of focusing on different things. It took me quite a minute to get myself together. I had a terrible meth problem, and it was so.
How long did that go on?
Man, it's you know what? It started in my 20s, I think, you know. I mean, here's the deal, you know, I got thrown out of the house, you know, the aunt and uncle's house when I got expelled for college because you can't be queer, you know, get out of here. We never want to see you again. And
so your family said that too?
Yeah, like you know, save mom and dad, you know, but the ones I was living with, you know. And well, everybody kind of had a problem with it at the beginning, you know. I don't get that. People throw their kids out for being gay. You know, they turn something off, but whatever, you know what I mean. It kind of was traumatic enough that I kind of was, you know what, screw it, I'm fucking on my own. Can we say fuck on this?
Yeah,
thing?
you can say whatever the hell you want. No, you can say whatever you want.
You know, it's like
it's the internet, baby.
You're on your own, you know, and it's like very early on, my definition of being okay with myself was born in me.
Yeah.
You know, that was it. And I made a decision long ago that, you know what, I lost my family over something that was so petty and trivial as fucking who you sleep with. Now, who like do you go up to the preacher and go, "Hey man, how you doing banging your wife, dude?" I mean, you know, why is that? Nobody does that. So why would anybody
going right?
Why would anybody come over and go, "God dang, you fucking sleep with you must be crazy."
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah, I remember I've got a cousin that came out. We found out she was gay or whatever, like after she had been married and had a kid and they got divorced or whatever. And I remember hearing about that and I was like, that's interesting. Okay.
Yeah. I mean, you know what I mean? That's the kind of thing, that's kind of a, you know, one of the, and you know, screw it. I mean, let's go ahead and be honest. I didn't, you know, I never had the big coming out party because I never was in anything, you know. Anybody that knew me knew what I was, and it was never a deal. It was never a deal. Yeah. I feel like if you spend your life trying to think it's something dirty, you know, and you can't accept yourself, that's when it starts becoming an oppressive thing, you know. But if, you know what, for the most part, nobody ever gives a shit, you know. But it is part of my story. Because
somebody asked
so much led, you know, to where you are.
Oh yeah, you are who you are because I had told somebody you were going to be on, and they like one of the things they asked was like, "You going to ask him about being gay?" I was like, I'm not going to ask him about it. If it comes up, it comes up. But like, I'm going to ask him about growing up as Jody Payne's son and Sammi Smith and the music and when he started doing it. Like that's what I'm interested in, like who you are. But I mean, we'll talk about whatever you want to talk about.
It's all good, you know.
Yeah.
I'm just kind of giving you a little bit of the background.
It's important.
I mean, you know what I mean?
Like
if you're going to tell your stories and you're going to write things out, it's really, you can't just start at point A and get to point D.
Yeah, right.
Without, you know, because it's like, you know what, I mean, I really am a songwriter and I really am one of these guys that really loves country music and loves music, period.
Yeah.
And it's how I communicate, you know, and so I get lost in my shit, you know, and it's like, when you write songs about things and you tell your stories, if you're not going to tell the truth, what good is it?
Yeah.
You know?
Absolutely.
Maybe there's something I've been through, and it's the only reason I talk about it a lot, you know, is the crystal meth thing. Well, you can't really talk about the crystal meth thing without talking about the relationship you were in. You can't really talk about the relationship you were in without talking about being gay because you got kicked out of the house for it when you were a kid, and that's how you got to where you're at, you know?
Oh, yeah. It's life.
It all flows. So, you know, it's such a little part of my life. That's what's so kind of comically ironic about it is like nobody ever really gives a shit, you know, and it's not like I'm really gay anyway because I don't really have dates. So I'm like celibate, you know what I mean? If I were going to date somebody, it might be somebody on that way, but I don't know. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So it's like you deal with that, you get on with it. It's okay.
Yeah, so that's when the drugs started, was after that.
You know, after that whole situation of getting thrown out, you know, it did. I started medicating. I started medicating with, you know, whatever I got first, cigarettes, alcohol. Then I started hanging out with my dad, who introduced me to weed and eventually, you know, coke and speed.
Yeah.
And, you know, drinking was the easiest thing to get when I, you know, was 19 and couldn't really drink because, you know, we were all that. I was 18 when I got kicked out of college, so there was 2-3 years there where I was like coasting and really a train wreck, you know?
Yeah.
But you start searching for one thing that leads to another, whether it's fucking, you know, sex, whether it's, you know, whatever. And so for the next, you know, well, hell, ever since I can remember, I had always been one step away from being under the influence of something.
Yeah.
You know? And I moved away in 2008 back to Texas, and everything had just really, my mom died and lost my record deal, and I'd worked my whole life to have what I had, you know?
Yeah, so...
You work your whole life to get where you're at.
For sure, yeah.
And, you know, it was something as petty as crystal meth that took me down for a minute, you know? And so if I do anything, man, it's just I try to tell people the whole story. You know, I try to tell people the whole story because, like, you know, if you can come, I just want people to be okay and be alive. You know, that's really it.
Yeah, awesome.
Because
when did you start? Like, when did you start playing? Like, when did you know you wanted to be an artist, songwriter?
I was 5, 2,
Yeah.
4, 1.
Always
in the womb.
That's great.
Yeah. You know, and like I said, it was always two such crazy different worlds.
Yeah.
It was this hippie world of country music that felt great and was badass, and driving around in a Thunderbird with my mom and her band, and you know what I mean? And
Yeah.
all those experiences, and wild people like Willie and everybody, and then going back to the school year where your aunt and uncle are strict Christians.
Back to closed-mindedness.
Yeah, closed-mindedness.
Man, so just flopping back and forth.
Yeah, flopping back and forth, and you know you really wanted to be a singer, but you could never sing because that was the devil. Your aunt drove that into your mind, and then like, oh, well, okay.
But then for 2 months,
you can sing about but you can sing about Jesus. That's okay. So boy, I started singing for God, buddy.
Yeah.
Let me tell you, me and God got like that, and. So, you know, which is great because I love gospel music. You know, there's nothing wrong with it.
So when did it become your career? Like, as far as like after you went through that and you got started getting to know your dad?
I pulled myself together a little bit after, you know, a couple of years. Well, when I got thrown out, I moved to Dallas for a little bit, and then. While I was living in Dallas, I got a job at Don Herring Volkswagen, driving a parts truck. And while I was there, I heard about an audition for a new Opryland theme park opening in San Antonio called Fiesta, Texas. So I went and auditioned for Opryland, and I got it. So I moved to San Antonio for 2 years, and I did the red season and the blue season of Fiesta, Texas, both years, in the show called Country Music. We did 6 shows a day, 6 days a week, rain or shine.
Wow.
And that's where I honed my chops a little bit. And then they sent a couple of people every year to play the Grand Ole Opry, you know, that were in the show, since it was an Opryland thing. And they picked me the second year. And so I came out here, and I was on Johnny Russell's show. And Johnny Russell, a few days later, after I played the Opry, I got an encore. It was great. I went home, and a few days later, Johnny Russell called me. He says, I think you can make it, son. You should come to Nashville. And that was all it took, dude. I quit my job, and I moved to Nashville with nothing. And started,
I guess you had contacts and stuff.
No, I knew nobody. Mama was dead set against me coming. Nobody wanted, no. That was a time where Mom and I were kind of a little bit on the outs, because...
Yeah.
You know, I had to go be my own self. And so I came here, and so I didn't know what to do, so I started hanging out on Broadway, which back then was hookers and drunks, and it was guns and knives, and you didn't go down there.
When was
this
that?
was 93, 94.
Oh, okay. Yeah, I've heard tales of them,
yeah.
But...
And, man, we would start about 5 o'clock on Monday.
Yeah.
At a place called the Turf, which is now where Rippy's is.
Okay.
Turf was on the corner right there where Rippy's is, and next door to it was a place called Mama Joe's, which was a nasty old beer joint, which was awesome. Mama Joe was great. She fed us lots. And we would work, we would sing 4 or 5 songs in this bar, and then we'd walk next door, and we'd sing 4 or 5 songs, and we would go all the way down to the end of Broadway, cross the street, come back up, cut up 4th, go through Printer's Alley, go around, come back to Broadway, and get our way back up and finish about 2 or 3 o'clock in the morning, singing everywhere in town. And it's what everybody
Just stopping
did.
in?
You'd stop in, and if you were any count and you had been doing your work, People call you up and sit in, you know. That was where I figured out, that was where I met my mama's friends and my daddy's friends. Because I was a young man trying to be a singer, and I was doing whatever. And I learned, man, and I learned. And then I met this gal named Shelby Lynn, who was one of my idols. And, man, she let me come and work with her and start writing songs with her. And, man, I learned. I watched. I soaked it up. And I had a badass drug problem by this time, and I was fucking unpredictable. And we were in California, and I got fired out there. She was like, see ya, buddy. And so I figured out what I was going to do because I didn't have any money. And so I crashed on my buddy Austin Hanks's couch. And
In California?
Yep, Hollywood, buddy. Talk about a hayseed. I'd never been anywhere out of Tennessee.
Really?
No, dude.
Oh,
Texas and Tennessee and Oklahoma, that was my knowledge. Maybe a little bit of Arizona.
That was a little different then.
Yeah, it sure was. But man, I was suddenly stuck out in California, and I didn't know who the hell I was. And the only man that I knew in the world worth a shit were Willie Nelson and Chris Christopherson, so I started modeling myself after those men. And that's what happened. I kind of ran into a guy named Keith Gaddis after a while out there, and we made a record. And I ended up getting a deal, which led to a movie audition, which led to a string of movies, which led to
Which one was first in the movies? Was
Walk the Line.
Walk the Line was the first movie?
First one, yeah.
It's not a bad one to start on.
Not a bad one at all. It was great, dude.
Hey, Petey.
Hey, there's Petey over there saying hi.
Hey, buddy.
Hey, you want to come over here and say hi, Petey? Come on. Come on.
So tell me about that whole deal. Did you have to go in and audition?
I went in and auditioned, yeah. I auditioned for Waylon Jennings first. And come on, buddy. Come here. You're good. And I got a call back, and so I went back. I was on my way back in, and
there's a guitar stand over there for you.
oh, there is, isn't there? I was on my way back in, and I had read the script by then, and Jerry Lee Lewis was a better part. Come here, buddy. And so I decided I wanted to read for Jerry Lee Lewis. He said, that's what we want you for anyway, so.
That's awesome. Did you play the piano parts on that, or was
I played the piano?
somebody?
I played the piano in the film. I didn't play it on the record, but I had to learn that part to play it because we had to do a live shot of my hands. So
Right.
I learned how to play that.
So just for that, for the movie?
Specifically for that. Yeah,
That's cool.
It was pretty good.
And then was it after that? Was it the Hank Garland movie? Were you there?
Hank Garland movie came right after that. Yeah, it sure did. And what a dream come true was that. You know, I'm so.
Not many people know about that movie. My dad told me about it. He saw it.
It's a little small film, but you know what?
It was great. Yeah,
beautiful piece of art. I'm very, very proud of it. I was. It was a dream come true. You know, be a movie star. Hell, what are you talking about?
Yeah, was that Crazy? Was that the name of it?
Yes, it was.
Yeah. What
Yes,
have you done a lot of other?
You know, I've got about 14 or 15 credits to my name, and you know, I've not done a film in a while, and that's okay. The last thing I did, I think, was I did a small part on a TV series called From Dusk Till Dawn, and that was down in Texas. You know, it was right around the end of Crazy that everything kind of melted down. You know, my mom died on the last day of shooting of that film, and I came to Nashville, 2006, signed a publishing deal, and just really went off the deep end into meth, and that had been going on since 2002. And I'd watched everything.
So it went on out in California.
Oh yeah,
too.
that's when it really escalated.
Okay.
You know, it got really heavy, and you know, you shouldn't hang out with the wrong kind of people. That's all. You know, you do things in the name of love sometimes that are detrimental, and nobody can talk you out of it, and that's okay. You learn. You get your heart broken. Sometimes you love again. Sometimes it makes you not do it at all.
Yeah.
It's okay. You know, we write it down and we remember, you know.
Yep, that's part of life, I suppose.
Oh, yeah.
Remember my dad.
Am I too heavy? My friend Edward tells me I'm too heavy sometimes. He's
No,
like,
this is great. This is good. This is what I wanted. I want to. But yeah, my dad used to tell me that about, you know, you definitely people you hang out with. I remember I used to argue with him because I had some rough friends like in junior high and stuff.
Yeah.
The guys that ended up getting into drugs and stuff. Luckily, we came to a split in the road, and I didn't follow them. But looking back, he was absolutely right.
Yeah.
But I remember thinking, oh, it's crazy. I can still be friends with somebody and not do what they do. But like, you hang around people long enough.
Not really, man. You know what? That was the weirdest. That was really kind of one thing that was weird about getting sober was you really do have to do that. You have to, or I mean, for me anyway, I didn't go to treatment. I didn't do any of that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
I went to Texas and I had a few good friends like Corey Morrow and Willie Nelson and Edward Johnson that helped me get my shit together. And
yeah, there's a few people that'll stick around, but you got to say bye to a lot of people.
Yeah. It was, well, you know, I don't, there's a lot of people I don't, yeah. And nobody calls me ever, so it's okay. It doesn't matter. You know, it's all good. But you're alive, so.
So what was your favorite movie that you did?
Well, Walk the Line was so fun because it was so big. You know what I mean? And there were so many movie stars on it. And, we lived in Memphis for a couple of months, you know, doing that movie. So it was kind of nice.
Was most of the filming
in
around
Memphis?
In Memphis?
Yeah, we shot it all in Memphis.
Yeah. Cool.
Crazy was a favorite in a whole other level because it was just, you know, it was right on the heels of Walk the Line, and it was, but I was in every shot, so it was my movie, you know.
Yeah.
And boy, they kept me locked down on that one. I think it had become kind of. I don't know if it was apparent that I had a problem.
Yeah.
Until we got, you know, very, very close to filming, and they couldn't do anything about it. But thank God we all made it through that.
Made it through, and
Yes,
you're
sir.
here.
Yeah.
You're here alive and
It's
breathing.
good stuff, buddy.
So I want to know, the fanboy is going to come out of me. Tell me about Willie Nelson as a person, not the Willie that everybody else knows. Like
Willie Nelson as a person is exactly like the Willie Nelson that you see on TV. He is just a solid, honest, humble, kind man. That same goes for my friend Chris Christopherson.
Yeah, all those guys.
I mean, they're you know what I mean? They're
your family. That's what, like, I was talking with Shaky, talking to Shaky about it, and I was like, that's his family. Like, Willie, Christopherson, Waylon, Jody, like.
We all,
family.
You know, the Nelsons, the Jennings, we all are a pack. The Christophersons, we all run around together because we all belong together. That is,
you
our
still
family.
Close with everybody's family?
Oh yeah, buddy. We're all friends. Just because I mean, you know, before I moved here, I was living with Amy Nelson. We were roommates in Austin. So yeah, everybody knows everybody. We all kind of, everybody is very supportive of each other. You know, I'm so proud of Lucas and Micah right now that I can't stand it, dude. They're Lucas is doing his first movie.
Really?
Yeah, he's he's playing in A Star Is Born, the remake of that, which is great.
Oh yeah. So what's been going on?
Man, I came back here in November of last year. Once I got myself together, it took about 4 years to get myself straight, and then on my birthday this last month, I picked up a 5-year chip. So it was about a 9-year.
Very cool.
It was about a 9-year journey to get to, you know, some time. But whatever. Hey, I'm great.
So you're feeling good now?
Oh, it's not really even you know what I mean? It was such a hypnotic drug that and you know, I mean, there's differences, and don't do as I say or do as I do. Don't do as I do as I say, whatever.
Yeah.
Maybe I shouldn't tell anybody anything, you know, because I mean, I'm still a hippie. I still spark up dudes.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? I don't
Well, yeah, it's like some people have to just quit everything. Yeah. But then there's some people that can say, I can still have a drink, or I can still
Never
whatever.
really been a good drinker, so that I don't really mind losing that one. But
Yeah.
I do love smoking some joints and stoning out. But you know what I mean? Everything in moderation. But you know, so some people would say, well, you're not off of the drugs or whatever. I don't care. I think herbs are medicine, which is what I think weed is. So whatever. But I
would agree with that. But
you know, yeah. So I came back last November and started writing for Carnival again. Carnival Music at Frank Liddell. And we just finished my next album a couple of weeks ago. So
so you got a new one coming out?
brand new record with Frank Liddell and myself and Eric Massey. We all teamed up to bring this to you, and I'm very, very excited about it. Very excited.
Where'd you record?
We recorded at Southern Ground, which happened to be the studio where my mom cut all of her hit songs and all of her music.
That building right there?
Yep.
Oh, very cool.
Sure is. So it was kind of neat and a little nice full circle.
Yeah.
Yeah. So
when's that due to?
Hey, we're going to start mixing it here within the next couple of weeks. And Petey, come here, buddy. Come here. What's wrong? Petey Daddy's got to finish this radio interview, so you just chill, okay? So we're going to start mixing that in the next couple of weeks, and that's what we're doing.
Cool.
Know? We'll see what happens after that.
So have you played a lot on the road? I mean, through the years?
I mean, for the past 20 years, that's what I've been doing, you know? Yeah.
So the acting thing just kind of happened
because
because
the acting thing kind of came along, and I pursued it for as long as the phone was ringing.
Yeah.
And that, if they want me for something, I'm sure I'd love to go do it, but I'm not really focusing on it right now.
Right.
I'm really going to focus on this record coming out. And
yeah.
There's a documentary coming out later on this year that we started shooting back in 2002 when I first moved out to California and started doing this record with Keith Gaddis. And they also have, so they shot from 2002 to 2006, 7.
What's it on? Can you say?
It's supposed to be on making my first album, but it turned into a man who was detrimentally killing himself with methamphetamines, and that's what we're doing. It's coming out, and 10 years later, here we are, and we're alive.
The down and the up.
Well, it's it was kind of we didn't really intend for that to happen.
Yeah.
It really was not the intention. The intention was to film a story about this kid who was the son of singers making his album, wanting to be the next thing. We never really understood what was going on until many years later, and it's all in real time. They've got like 400, 500 hours.
Wow.
They were with me day in and day out for years.
Like behind the scenes and everything?
It was like a reality show.
But actual reality.
But actually what was really happening. So you see the whole thing happen in real time. You see me meet this person and start thinking how it could save their life, but they're on drugs, and I figured I could do it because I'd been partying with my dad. Why not? For years, and it was way over my head. You're not supposed to blame people for things, but you know what? People know better than to do things sometimes.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? I will never get someone exposed to something like that or get somebody addicted to something like that. I will never let that, you know what I mean? That's not going to be my path. And
yeah.
So, yeah.
So, on the not as deeper side of things, you were admiring my last picnic.
I love the last picnic
thing.
Poster. That's on my daddy's wall at the house in Stapleton.
Yeah.
Right now it sure is.
I've got a poster here at the house that it's called The Last Picnic, but it's a play off of the Last Supper painting, and it's Willie Nelson and Waylon and Christopherson and Jody, which is Waylon Payne here's dad.
Yep.
And a bunch of other folks. Billy Joe Shaver's on there. Is your mom on there too?
Nope, she wasn't there that time. She was at the very first and the very second picnic. She was actually, she was the headliner of the first picnic.
Was it 73?
73.
Yeah. I knew it. How about that?
Sure was.
There was a video I used to watch, and sometimes it's up and sometimes it's not, on YouTube from the 74 picnic.
Yeah.
Where it was, Waylon and Willie. It was one Leon Russell, like emceed.
Yeah.
Man, I watched that so many times, and it just looks like they're having so much fun. I remember watching that thinking, that's what I want to do. I want to be with a group of people that are having that much fun playing music.
Yeah.
And they just look like friends.
They're family, buddy.
Yeah.
That's what we do.
Yeah. Do you still have a publishing deal?
Yeah, I still write for Frank at Carnival.
Carnival? Okay, cool.
Well, man, I worked really hard this past year, dude. I came back with the idea of giving it a year. I was going to commit to it, and so I did. I came here, and I wrote every day at the office, including my album this past year. We got 28 cuts, so it's pretty good. It's been pretty awesome.
Yeah, that's great.
Miranda Lambert record is amazing. The next record I believe that people will be hearing something off of is Leanne Womack's new album, which is
she's so good,
just dynamite. Yeah, I've got a few songs on there. I've got a handful of songs on the new Ashley Monroe record. I've got a song on Wade Bowen's new album. I mean, I'm not meaning to name drop, but
No, it's good. I want to hear what you got going on.
This is what we did, this year, and
Yeah.
and it paid off. I've been playing the Opry a lot, and, just trying to keep my head about me.
Have you found that people are more open-minded now toward you, and like as far as in country music or anything?
They've never not been open-minded.
They've never not been? Okay.
No,
Yeah.
I mean, they really haven't. That's what I'm saying. You know what I mean? I've never. It's kind of weird. You see some folks coming out and everything like that.
Yeah.
It's all great. I was out from the beginning.
Right.
I mean, if you do any kind of research and you're not stuck in your own ass, anybody can. You know what I mean? It's in every. It's not even a thing. Yeah. So that I've been kind of bothered by that for the past couple of years a little bit.
Yeah.
Because sometimes it seems like people will run and hide from something and shun it because it's the evil thing, and then but then then all of a sudden it becomes an opportunity to fucking make some money or something, and they're all about it, and it just really drives me crazy.
Yeah.
It drives me nuts. But whatever. Hey, we're all here together. I'm not gonna. Lord, this is probably gonna get me so much popularity in this town. I love all of you. How about I sing a song and get out of here? I think Petey wants to go to the John. Do you want a song?
I would love that.
I can't move a mountain, can't break through walls. It's something you should understand about me. I'm just a man who's made of flesh and bone. I can break and I can bleed. I told you, baby, don't depend on me. I ain't nothing that you need. Never trust a hero, 'cause they'll fall. Hell, they even killed Superman. I can clearly see that I'm not what you need. It don't take X-ray eyes to see goodbye. Oh, it's time for you to break this hold on me. The purest form of kryptonite. Oh, like a bird or a plane can fall down from the sky. Baby, so can I never trust a hero, 'cause they'll fall. Hell, they even killed Superman. Petey,
man.
I heard you jingling along your jingles, buddy. That was badass. You did great, buddy.
One more thing. If you could tell yourself at 18 or 19 years old something, advice, what would you tell yourself?
Wow. It's going to get really, really hairy at times. You're going to be scared to death. But just keep putting one foot in front of the other, and I swear to God, it's going to be okay. Live in the best place possible, which is right now. As long as you've got right now taken care of, you'll be all right.
Hell yeah, man. Good
Rock
stuff.
on.
Thanks for coming in.
Hey, anytime, buddy. Thanks for having me.
Yeah, dude.
Woo-hoo-hoo.
Well, what a guy, and what a conversation. Now, I did fanboy about the Willie Nelson and family a little bit, but come on, people. I couldn't help myself. What do you expect? But the coolest thing is regardless of who Waylon's parents were and that whole part of his background and everything, he's honestly a great guy and a badass singer and songwriter. I was happy to have him here. Hope to have him back. Now, from the songwriting to the movies to his own recordings and all of that, I'll try to get as much of it as I can in the info and links in the show notes page, and that will be at don'tstifleme.com/015. I really hope you enjoyed the episode. I enjoyed that talk. It was cool. It was just, another interesting person to sit and talk with about life and love and mistakes and good decisions and bad and all that goes into this thing. I do say this a lot, but I really mean it. If you have any questions or any feedback or any input of any kind, I would love it if you would shoot those over to me, and the email address is jacob@don'tstifleme.com, or to any of the social medias. The podcast social medias are all at DSM Podcast on Instagram and Twitter. Mine are all at Jacob Stiefel, JACOBSTIEFEL, on everything. And if you are interested in my music or merchandise or tour dates, you can find all that at jacobstiefel.com. Okie doke. Thanks for listening, you badass person, you. Yeah, you. I'm talking to you. I'll be back for episode 16 next week. I hope you will too. I personally think you should just go ahead and click subscribe on that podcast player, whether it's your iPhone or your computer or whatever it is, so you'll make sure and get the new episodes whenever they come out. But hey, I'm not telling you what to do. In the meantime, I do hope you have a beautiful rest of your week, and I will talk to you later.